Hello, everybody. We're going into the assignments. So, this is the question. The question was you have been given the age groups in years and you have age specific mortality rates. So, what we're calculating is a life expectancy table. And we're using this table as our reference. So, the key differences between this table and what we're given to work with was that we're given age ranges. This is an age range table. This one is gotten through data from healthcare services. This was 2012. So our first task is to import the data. I copy them. I copy the rows. I can even copy from the top just so that I can have columns and rows. So I copy them, take it to my Google Sheets. I like using Google Sheets. Copy and paste. So I'll paste values only. Paste values only, paste. Okay. So now what I have here is I have the age specific mortality rate. So I need to convert these rates into, first of all, these two in a different format. Plain text. There you go. Formats. Now this step is not necessary. I just wanted for my own for my own sake to have all the data in the same format. They're all in the plain text format now. Okay, so this age specific mortality rate. So we want it to look like a probability of dying. So we're going to get this column probability of dying. We'll skip this number of dying because we already have a percentage. We have age specific mortality rate. So let's go for probability of dying. Okay, DYING. I don't know if I spelled dying correctly. So I take so the way you do it is that you use an equal to sign, then you take your column B2 in this case. I just click the column divided by, in this case I'm dividing by 100. So you see it auto suggests when I click complete, so it fills it out. So I already have my probability of dying. This is already based on the age specific mortality rate, and from this I can calculate my probability of surviving. That's 1 minus that. We will not need that, but I'll just do it for your sake of surviving. By the way, there are some online places that you can use to calculate, get all these answers. There are some websites you can use. 1 minus the first column, and it auto fills and generates the formula. So look at here is now 1 minus C11. This is C11. Here will be 1 minus C19, like that. So we're already halfway there. So we already have a probability of dying and a probability of surviving. We also want to calculate the number who died, but we don't have a number to use in population. So he said that we should use 100. So you can either use 100 or you use 100,000. So number of survivors. So let's just do that too. Number of survivors. Okay. So with that number of survivors, now I start with 1,000 because at the beginning of the cohort, everybody's alive, right? So 1,000 survived. So the idea is that the number of deaths goes up as you go. The number of survivors goes down. So for this first age group, number of deaths will obviously be probability times the number of survivors. So this should give us the first people that died. I mean, we're using 0.3. Don't worry about the 0.3 yet. It won't matter yet. So for here, it should be the same thing, right? So number of deaths would be the population at that time that is alive times the probability of dying too, right? But the thing is that we don't know, we cannot extrapolate that to the rest of the formulas. We don't know these values, right? So now that's a problem. So how do we fix that problem? So to know the number of people alive at this point in time, it'll just be this minus this. And there you have your solution. So although it looks like a clunky solution, but it actually works. E17, this should be C18 times E18. And this should be 19, 30, 19. So we've gotten a number of deaths so far. Yeah, this is not, it's not that straightforward so far. But you would, if you were to do this manually, what you would do is that, let's say, number of survivors is 1,000, right? So the number of survivors is 1,000. So since you have 1,000 survivors, then you know the number of people that died from the probability to be the number of survivors times the probability of dying, and you get 48.3. So after you do that, you now subtract this number 48.3 from 1,000 to know the number of people are alive in the next age group. That's 95951.70. So now that you know this one, you now take this one, multiply it by probability of dying. You do the same thing. Then you subtract from here. Then you subtract from here. So that's how you would do it. You will calculate these two columns in tandem. But since you have this formula, the formula just tells you that the number of deaths is equal to whatever the survival is times the probability of dying. Even though you don't know them yet, the formula will propagate itself to the end. So that once the formula propagates itself to the end, then you can also put a formula here, which is now going to be whatever is here minus whatever is here to get what's here. Okay, a quick addition. So I found a way to make the number of survivors easier. So number of survivors alternative. So this might just make you understand this thing better. So since we have number of survivors, the first one is 1,000, right? So everybody's alive, right? So to get the second number of survivors, we can do equal to number of survivors times probability of surviving. So this is like the using the probability of survival instead of using dying. So, and I can populate it all the way to the end. So you see that this is this is actually a better way than the other way. But I mean, whatever you want to use. So basically, to get the number of survivors, I multiply the number of survivors times the what's the formula? This first one, number of survivors in the first row times probability of surviving, you get the number of people left. So this one now, the number of survivors in age 5 to 9 times the probability of surviving age 5 to 9, you give me the number of people that are still alive in age 10 to 15. So number of people alive in 10 to 15 times probability of surviving 10 to 14, you get the number of people alive in 15 to 19. So this is a lot easier way to get the number of survivors. And then from there, obviously, you can then do the you can actually even do, like, I will show you a different method to do the number of deaths. Let me insert another column to the left. So if you wanted to calculate number of deaths in another way, so we start with this number, with this, okay. But now to get number of people who died in the year above it, you can simply just do for this will be simply this minus this, voila. And you can extrapolate that all the way up. So you see, you're getting the same numbers, but this might be an easier way to multiply the number of survivors times probability of surviving to get the number of people that will be alive in the next age group. And then for the number of deaths, you can just subtract the bottom one from the one ahead of it to get the number of people alive. Then people that died. Then the next one. Okay, there are 121 people who died here. This will be this minus this to get this one. This minus this to get this one. So either way that works for you, get the same answer. So persons year lived, that's now the one that he said was the difference. Persons, number of person years lived, that's now the, you take the first plus the second divided by 2. But since we have age range of 0 to 4, that's 5 years age range, we'll do something slightly different. So this is where we now have the persons year lived, right? You do what are we calculating again? We take the number of started life, this plus this divided by 2. So we take the number of survivors equal to I'll put it in brackets, this plus the next row divided by 2 plus this divided by 2. And since it's there are five, there's a 5 year range: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's five. Zero is 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's five interval to be times five. So that's the difference between this calculation and the one on the slide. So with that, I get person's year lived. Then I just use two decimal places because why not? Why not? Okay. Person's year lived calculated. So now that we have person's year leave calculated, so let's go on to the next column. Person's year lived. Total person's year lived. So this one is not going to be the sum. So you start from the bottom. You add this plus this, you get this. This one is this one. This 1 plus 4, 5. 5 plus 19, 14. 14 plus 64, 16.5, 30.5, 30.5 plus 28.5, 59. And you go up like that. So in order to get that formula, and what is that? Total person's year lived. In order to get that formula, what I would do is that I'll start from the bottom. The bottom one, I will literally just make it what it is, equal to that column. So I just copied it from there. So I said equal to this column. But for this one, what I want is to add this to this to get this. So you see here, for this one, the same thing. But for this one, I want this plus this to get this. It's like a Z. This plus this to get this. This plus this to get this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say equal to G, this column above, plus the one I just came from, the one below, H19, get this. And with that, I can just update the formula and it will just follow up. So from that, this one should be G17, which is G17 plus H18, the one below, you get it like that. So it updates the formula all the way up, and nicely you have the total years lived already. So after the total years lived, now you have expectation of life. So this is not going to be total years lived divided by the LX, total number started life. So in that case, that's expectation of life. Expectation of life. So to be equal to this column divided by what do you call what was that? Number of survivors. And propagate it. So what this means is that those between 0 to 4 years old in 2012 were expected to live another 59.39 years. Maybe I should just take it to one decimal point. So depends on what you are doing. I don't know, but let's leave it at the way it is for now. So those who were 60 years old, we trace it down, were expected to live another 16.57 years. We can just drop it to one decimal point first. So if your grandfather was in 2012 was 84, he was expected to live another 4.9 years. If you have a friend or you are in 20 to 24 years of age, the average person who was your age was expected to live another 46.2 years. So that's how we calculate life expectancy. So let's go over it one more time, shall we? So that we'll make this clear to everybody. Okay. So first thing I did was that I did the age ranges. I checked the age ranges were there. I did something where I made everything, like two of them were in date formats. I just changed them to number formats. Again, that's irrelevant because you don't even need this column for anything, for any data analysis. That's just a process of cleaning the data, but you don't need that for this analysis. Then age specific mortality rates was what was given to us in the question. So from the age specific mortality rate, I can get a probability because that's just 4.83 divided by 1000. So I use the formula B2 divided by 100. That's probably the percentage, and converted a percentage to a probability. So to get the probability of survival, which we don't use in this calculation at all, is just 1 minus probability of dying. After that, so we go to the number of survivors. Now, this is totally arbitrary. We could have used 100,000 as the number of survivors, but for the question, he asked us to use 1,000. So you can use 100,000, you will still get the same result and he will still be happy. So the number of survivors, let's just say, okay, at the beginning of this study, we had 1,000 people. So to get the number of survivors that goes down, you need two things. You need to know the number of people who that died in that age range and those who move on to the next age range. So the number of survivors here is 1,000 because the study is just starting, right? They're just starting life. And the probability of dying would be this E2 times the probability of dying. That is C2. That gives us 48.3. And now that we know these two, all you need to do is subtract this 1,000 from this and put the answer here. Once you do that, you get this answer, and then you can now do this times this, you get this. So again, another formula I could have used if I wanted to get this E2, I would have just said simply to get this column, I would have said E2 minus F2 to get this column. But that's exactly what we said, right? E3 minus, to get E4, it will be E3 minus F3 to get this column. So you just keep subtracting like that, subtracting like that. And once you get this subtracted value here, that's the number of people who are alive at the beginning of this age range. You multiply that by the probability that they would die, and you get the number who died, and then you subtract again. All the way. If you do it manually, you won't need to use formulas, but you'll be able to do it one step at a time. So once we have gotten these two columns down, we go to person's year lived, which is just literally the formula. And in that case, what you're doing is that you are taking the survival, is like, it looks like an average of the two survivals, right, between the two groups. This plus this divided by 2. But since it's not just one range, I have 5 different years. 0 is 1 year, 1 is 1 year, 2 is 1 year, 3 is 1 year, and 4 is another year. That's 5. With that number, that average of the number of survivors, we multiply by 5. We do it for all of them. So the total person's year lived. So we're now adding everything up, right? So you have to start from the bottom this time around. The bottom one is the same because total person's year lived so far is 287.78. So this plus this, you get this. This plus this, you get this. It's a z plus this, you get this. And he did that in class really during the lecture. This plus this, you get this. This one plus this one, you get this one. This one plus this one, you get this one, like that. And once you have done that, all you need to do is divide this one by each of the number of survivors, and you get the answer. So that's your table. So once you're done with your table, export it, send it to the Telegram group, and that's the answers. So I hope you enjoyed. Sorry for making it so long. I'll try to cut it down, but yeah. Thank you.